Everybody. Welcome to Hunt Middle School's Information Night. We're so happy to have you. If you're joining us, we're just going to go through a few things and we'll take questions at the end. Our agenda will be... Dave, can you go to the next slide? Our agenda, we'll talk about, we're going to go in a different order. We're going to go talk about athletics in middle school first, and then our clubs program, Beyond the Bell, our international baccalaureate program, middle years. Then we'll talk a little bit about academics, the school, culture and climate, and then how choice enrollment works. Let me introduce you to some of our presenters. Not everybody can be here tonight because of different sports that were happening late in clubs, but we have Chris Nofo, our athletic director, Clay Ross, our clubs coordinator, Robbie Jaskar, our school counselor, Sue Gregory, our IB coordinator. I'm Kim Messersmith, the principal. Dave Kellogg, our assistant principal, will be presenting with us tonight. And then, of course, we have Thunder as a guest appearance in any given event or school activity. Here's a little bit of housekeeping for a live presentation, just so that you know. We are recording so that we can put it up on our district website later for people to preview. We cannot see the audience. You can see us. And then you have a chance to put questions in the chat at any given time. And Mr. Jaskar will be managing the chat and will answer questions at the end.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah,
perfect.
So, Mr. Jaskar.
Sorry, we're still getting our degree in video broadcasting. I still only see Kim, Dave, but that's okay. I can talk and you can hear me. Mr. Nofo, our athletic director, is running around to different events tonight and isn't able to be here, but I can talk about our athletics program here at Hunt Middle School and across the Tacoma School District. In middle school, we have 4 sports seasons, and we operate on a varsity sports model. This year at Hunt, we kind of have a hybrid varsity sports model, only because we're small and only have grades 6 and 7. So some of our sports are only competing up to the junior varsity level, but some we're doing varsity, and next year we should be at the full varsity, junior varsity, and C team level. So right away in the fall, we have 4 sports to start out: girls soccer, boys baseball, boys basketball, and then cross country, which is for everybody. Then we are currently in our winter 1 session, which is volleyball for girls, and then boys soccer. And then when we get back from our winter break, we'll have football, which is only for 7th and 8th grade students, girls basketball, and then bowling, which is for all students. And then finally, we wrap up the year with fast pitch, wrestling, and track. At Hunt, we really are pushing that we're student athletes, and so we are working on academics first, but also have extracurriculars as a big piece of our program at Hunt. And we encourage all students to participate in some kind of athletic program or clubs, and we're going to talk about clubs here in just a second.
Hi there, Dave Kellogg, assistant principal at Hunt Middle School. For clubs, we actually have, just dropped in. I'm coming. I'll set you up just now, Clay. Give me just a second. You are on.
Hi, everybody. This is Clay Ross. I'm the Individuals and Societies teacher, aka History, aka Social Studies. But I'm also the staff liaison for the After School Clubs program that we have here at Hunt that partners with Metro Parks. And as you can see from our pictures and our list, we have an amazing set of programs that we have. Many of these pictures are from kayaking that just finished in our first session. And as you can see, we have a partnership with Edgeworks as well. And so we do climbing every session also. And super special, we were able to get a hookup through Metro Parks and another program. We'll be having snowboarding, excuse me, at Snoqualmie Pass. And we have a partnership through Metro Parks and Snoqualmie Pass where students, whether they have snowboarded all their lives or never at all, they'll get instruction, gear, all the equipment they could possibly need, and it's a 5-week program. And so that's something that we'll keep going every year as well. If you have any questions about clubs, if you have ideas for other clubs that you would be interested in us hosting, please let me know. I'll drop my email in the chat and I can pass that on to Metro Parks as well. Thank you.
Okay, again, I'm Dave Kellogg. I'm the assistant principal at Hunt Middle School, and we want to talk about the fact that Hunt Middle School is a IB candidate school. We are in the process of becoming a fully recognized IB school, and in that process, we're setting up the different requirements to be recognized as an IB school. So really, if you want to know what IB means, is it's an internationally recognized school and school format that emphasizes like a global perspective to learning. It really pushes a holistic experience, both with core areas of math, reading, writing, but then also enrichment like the arts, sports, physical education, and language acquisition, like as a foreign language. And it also pushes the interconnectedness of subjects, so that not all of our subject areas are in a silo. For instance, there's a lot more blending where the arts and different core area subjects might actually blend over. You might, at Hunt right now, we have blending of sciences and what's called individuals and societies, what often is known as social studies. So that is Clay Ross's is part of that interconnected process between sciences and social studies, or individuals and societies. So it's a neat form of education, and Hunt and we're working very hard to become a fully recognized IB school, and we welcome you to ask us questions about what the IB experience is like. Next, in terms of academics, you'll notice some of these titles. So you have, and these are IB language titles. So you have language and literature, math is what it is. So but you have like individuals and societies and sciences. That's that interconnectedness. So instead of having it siloed where you have two different subject areas, they actually are blended. Two different teachers are teaching them, but they're more blended in terms of the subject matter, as kind of teaching the interconnectedness of subject areas and learning. You have the arts, which includes visual arts like broadcasting, musical theater, band, orchestra, and then we have PE as well as movement being like dance. And we have a fantastic library here at Hunt. Language acquisition, meaning a foreign language, which is a requirement to be IB school. And we also have strong intervention services, including an access program and LRC for students that need support, and EL, English learners as a second language. I am bringing this over.
Oh, it's me, Dave.
Oh,
Next one.
I apologize, but Robbie is there for a second.
All right, school culture and climate. So we have one of our vision mission statements is we collaborate, we create, and we connect. So our first one is we collaborate. We really emphasize collaboration skills, first and foremost amongst our teachers, staff, and adults. We work together as a staff to build IB units, to build different lesson designs, activities for students. And we know that if the staff can collaborate together, then it'll trickle down to the students and their experience will be a lot more enjoyable. And then we also work together to help students with their collaboration inside the classroom, because we know that is a skill they're going to use in high school and on teams or in their hobbies or even in the work force later on in life. So we teach students to work in pairs, in triads, and in groups. We want them to solve problems, think critically, and apply their learning into different situations. The next one is we create. So with part of the IB program, they really, the IB around the world really emphasizes in the middle years around different experiences, as Mr. Kellogg said. One of my passions is bringing in those art forms in the mix of all that, because we know when students at this age can find different ways to express themselves creatively, they have a lot more enjoyable time in school. They can connect their content learning to the different art forms, and it also helps emphasize collaboration. So as he said, we have dance or movement as another way of doing PE. We have cooking, we have art, visual art, we have drama theater and musical theater, and then band and orchestra, and then our core content classes as well that integrates the arts into those.
And now it's me. Hi, everybody. Also, thank you for everybody submitting questions. We're almost done, and we'll definitely get to answering those questions here in a minute. Talking about school culture and climate, as the school counselor, helping develop a strong culture and community amongst our students is huge. So obviously being a brand new school, drawing students from all over the west side of Tacoma, from different middle schools and different elementary schools and students that haven't been together before, we work really hard to build this community. So one of the biggest ways we've done that this year is through our Jumpstart program, which is the camp that happens towards the end of August. It's been a district initiative that we've really pushed to help get students used to the culture of the new school. This year, because we're small, we were able to invite all students coming in, but typically it's for 6th graders, and we'll work with our student leaders next year to help our 6th graders get used to what's going on at school. Also at school, we have advisory every day for 15 minutes, and then on Wednesdays for 30 minutes. It's kind of a homeroom type of class where we do community building circles. Right now, we're also doing our One Book, One School. We're reading the book Wonder. We watch morning announcements, and it's just kind of a non-academic class where we learn to have a different type of relationship with teachers. And again, you can see down there, there's team building circles that we do. At Hunt, we really are looking at if a student does have an issue or a struggle in school, not to punish right away. We really work on helping students have restorative circles or restorative conversations about like what happened, rather than just kind of sweep it under the rug and say you're not in school for a little bit. So really helping students reflect on what's going on and have those restorative talks. We have a positive behavior reward system. We're doing all kinds of school challenges. ASB is up and going. I'm one of the co-ASB advisors, so we've had a school social, we've had a school pep assembly, socially distanced, and we work on just doing school spirit throughout. And I know community service is a piece of the IB culture. We just finished our Thunder Giving food drive, and we collected a lot of food, enough to make baskets for some of our Hunt families in need. And then finally, kind of the nuts and bolts of our choice enrollment process. Some of you may know that you are already assigned to Hunt Middle School, and so there's nothing that you need to do. However, if you are not in our catchment and you would like to enroll at Hunt, the first thing you need to do is go to the Enrollment Services website, which is on the Tacoma Public Schools homepage, and there's an application that you'll fill out. to indicate your choice to come to Hunt. I would say that it's important to get that in. The due date is by January, I think it's a Friday, but it's January 21st, 2022, to get that choice application in for non-neighborhood schools. After that, the process becomes a lot more difficult. So I'd say if you are interested in coming to Hunt, go ahead and put that in now. If you live outside of Tacoma Public Schools, that process is a little bit different, and you'll want to reference that Enrollment Services website as well. And that's it. Mrs. Messersmith, we have a few questions. You want me to publish them, and then you can see them in the chat, or can you see them as well?
How about I'm in the published one, so if you publish them, I'll read them out loud so that people can hear, and they might also be able to see it, and then we will try to answer the question.
Perfect. Here we go.
Okay, it says, what self-enclosed special education classrooms do you have? And then how are disabled students accommodated in the after-school clubs? Perfect. Okay, our self-contained program we currently have here at Hunt is our Access program, which is for students that are have developmental or autism needs, either physically or cognitively. We have the most beautiful, gorgeous classroom I think I have ever seen in Tacoma or even in the state of Washington that has a lot of hands-on experiences for kids. We have a Serenity Garden that's fenced in, and they have places where they get to do some gardening. They have their own little kitchen. We have a sensory room with a swing and some mats so that they, for students especially that are maybe wheelchair or in a wheelchair, have a chance to exercise. All of our self-contained students are included in our classrooms. So many of them go to either visual art or they go to the dance classroom and they really enjoy that, or musical theater. Some come into social studies, some are in our language arts classroom. So we are really a fan of building that community where we are a one school and that we are inclusive of any student and every student. All students, doesn't matter who you are accommodated and included in after-school clubs. So if there is a medical need, we make sure that there's someone on site who can help with that piece. If it's someone who needs help with their physical, like a wheelchair, we make sure that there's an extra adult for that as well. So again, all inclusive every minute of the day. See the next question.
Next one might be for Mr. Ross.
All right, so club schedule. Currently this year, and as far as we know, next year as well, we have 5 sessions for clubs. Each session is about 9 weeks, give or take a week or so. So we have one early in the fall, one leading up to winter break, one right after winter break, and then a spring and a late spring or end of year session as well. And I know that the other question was, are they all on campus or not? I realized that all the clubs that I highlighted were our off-campus clubs, whereas actually the majority of our clubs are on campus. For example, right now we have dance, art, cooking, leadership, and robotics. All of those clubs are on campus. And so far in our schedule, we've only had one club each session be off campus. It was kayaking in first session, climbing this session, and it'll be snowboarding next session. But most of our clubs are on campus, either taught by teachers that work at Hunt or instructors hired by Metro Parks.
And we provide the transportation to kayaking and to climbing and to snowboarding up to Snoqualmie. And then all clubs end at 5, except for the snowboarding one. I think that's to be determined. I'm pretty sure it's going to take longer than an hour or so to get there and back.
All right, Ms. Messersmith, I just put another one in there.
Okay. Is the IB program a separate program within the school to which a student applies? No, actually that's a great question though, because the FOSS IB program is definitely like that. And that's called the diploma program where they can earn college credit, like taking an AP course. In middle school everyone gets to experience everything. And it's not like a high stakes situation where it's college credit attached or anything like that. But we make sure that students have access to high level courses, rigorous courses, artistic courses. That way they get a well-balanced menu of learning before they can go to high school. And then the hope is that any student that enjoys the middle years program here, that they move up to FOSS and can finish the middle years program in 9th and 10th grade, and then they can join the IB program, diploma program for 11th and 12th. And all of those classes you get dual credit for, so college and high school credit.
I can answer the one I just put in the chat. So required courses for oncoming 6th grade students for the next year, I believe is going to be similar to what's going on this year. And so all 6th graders will be taking a math course, a language arts course, which we don't call language arts. We have the individuals and societies course right now, which is history. Right now it's a blend of history and then also science, and so they'll rotate between Mr. Ross and Mr. Adolphus. I believe next year we're going to create it where they're standalone classes, but so they'll have a history and a science class. And then I've seen some other questions about the electives and how much they get. The electives program and the creativity that Mrs. Messersmith was talking about is really big at Hunt, and so all students will be able to take a movement class or a dance class as part of their PE, as well as a traditional PE class. All of our 6th grade students this year chose some kind of music, so that was either musical theater, band, or orchestra, and I anticipate a similar offering next year. And then all of our 6th grade students this year took visual arts, as well as got to begin in on culinary arts. We have another question about some more questions about inclusion in our special education programs, if Kim or Dave want to answer that.
Dave, you want to answer this one?
Yes, I can answer. Just where's the question at? I'm looking for it. Oh, is it the in-school culture? Yeah, that one. Okay. Let me grab just a sec, sending myself over. It says, okay, so question, in school culture, can you address inclusion? What is done to proactively ensure that students with disabilities fully participate? So we actually are big advocates and we support inclusion in the classroom. So Kim spoke to this before, where for instance, we have students who might be in our access class that have maybe more cognitive needs of supports, or may have another disability that is preventing them from having full access to, like, would appear to have not be able to have full access to a course. But in fact, what we do is we are able to bring students into our social studies, our individuals and societies course, our drama, and we figure out an individual plan for each individual student that will work for them, so they can get a full experience and be in and get a full IB experience, but also make sure that they get the supports they need to based on their individual needs.
Do you want me to answer, or Robbie? Okay. Interested in the diversity of the teachers and staff as a whole there. So we have, I'm gonna look, usually I do numbers of this. We have a very small staff. It's about 20 teachers total, and then probably another extra 10 support staff. We have both female and male, probably 50-50. We have a few staff members from the LGBTQ community. We also have a few 5, 6, 7 staff members of color, maybe even more. because we keep growing little by little at a time. So we're trying to build that diversity, and based on, you know, who applies to the positions, and we're trying to make sure that we have different personalities and backgrounds and cultures within our school staff every year. I'm very aware and try to make a point to build that here at the school.
I can jump on the one I just published about ASB. Obviously, coming into a brand new school this year, we put an interest survey out to students about if they wanted to be in our leadership class. So we do offer a leadership class as an elective. It replaces one of the arts electives that students had signed up for. So that is the one thing that student had to give up to be in leadership. Students were put in there. We're going to have them reapply to be a part of that at the semester. So that's just a written application about why they want to be in leadership and how they see themselves as leaders. Right now, we're really big on trying to build leadership capacity. So I think one of the questions was, is it something they run for? Right now, it's that application process and kind of working in interviews with the staff, because one thing we want to see is that sometimes there's really great leaders who might not win in a popularity contest, but we want to be able to hear from them and see what their vision is for our school. We're also starting another thing. We're meeting next week actually to try to raise up student voice, because student voice in our school is really important. So even if you're not a part of ASB, we want to encourage students to be able to share their thoughts and feelings and communicate that to the staff here at Hunt.
Okay, what foreign language instruction is offered at Hunt? Currently, we have French. We are trying to, because we're so small, it's a our issue deal, but trying to figure out how to make sure all the different subjects are covered and with the right staff, because you need to have the right certificate. So currently we have French, and moving forward, depending on how much Hunt grows, will depend on how staff might shift into different positions. And so I know one of our goals is to also offer Spanish, or possibly another foreign language, or even create an opportunity where we could use Edgenuity, the Edgenuity program, like at TOL, where kids can pick a foreign language. We're not there yet, we're still building, but those are the ones we have for now. Oh, good question. Do you anticipate that all students who apply for choice enrollment will get to go to Hunt? And if not, what proportion do you think you'll be able to admit? So actually, we are in a very good, that's a very good question. We're in a very good position that Hunt is not going to probably be considered a closed campus yet, because we're not even close to capacity as far as the structure of the building. So if you apply for choice enrollment, because it's before they do staffing, the likelihood of you being accepted in is probably a 90, I'm going to say 98%, just because there's always a 2% that I probably can't control. If you don't do it in the window and you ask in June or July, that's when it gets trickier, because they've already set out how many staff members we have. So in summary, choice enrollment period up until the January 21st date, most likely 98% chance you'll be able to attend Hunt. Oh, what is our overall test score average? That's a very interesting question. Would you, because we just took the SBA, but it was based on last year's grade level, so it wasn't Hunt's grade levels because they weren't here. But overall, we did take our fall iReady, and right now we are at about, this is at the beginning of the year because it tests them on the end of the year standard. And in 6th grade, we're about middle of the pack in the district. So we are about 35% that is passing in at grade level standard in reading and in math in 6th grade. But again, that's at the beginning. So we have 9 more months to try to build up to that. 7th grade, A little bit trickier just because their transition last year into middle school is, rough online. I totally understand from my experience last year with middle school. And so we were more at a 15% on or at above grade level at the beginning of the year. Again, the test measures the end and we're at the beginning. Our SBA results that we just took from last year's grade levels is not in yet, so we don't quite know. But I will have a better accurate idea of how our students are able to do, especially at the end of this year for sure, and then about March time. So I hope that answers that question. Yeah, is there a full-time RN in the building? The RN is usually here half the week and an LPN is here the other half of the week. So there's always a nurse on staff, just different titles. Dave, you want to take the next couple questions?
Sure. Just a second, bringing myself in. So what are the fees and costs for different electives? Fees are minimal. We do have an ASB fee. It's $15, and then for different electives, I don't believe there's. Kim, you can confirm this, but is there any fee for any current elective? I don't believe there is.
Just band orchestra for the instrument, but not for any other elective. But we do have a supplies fee that's overall that helps with like just refurbishing any pencils, pens, art pieces, things like that.
And that currently for this year was $20, and that basically just gives students supplies for the entire year. And then there's also, if you were going to be doing for instance, that we have some pretty amazing clubs. So there's going to be skiing. There will be potentially some cost there, but we also are trying to accommodate all families. So if there needed to be financial support, we will do our best to be able to help with that. And the next question, do you have a theater program or club? Yes, we do. We have a fantastic instructor in Rafe Wadley, who is our theater and drama teacher. And alongside that, we also have movement and dance. And there's a lot of opportunities that we're just getting started with in terms of the arts and dramatic arts. So we also offer these as clubs, but we in fact offer them as part of our IB program that their students have the opportunity to do drama, to do movement, dance, and there will be performances upcoming from Hunt this year.
And we are trying to, we're purchasing High School Musical Junior and partnering with the Tacoma Musical Playhouse. We are Rafe is hoping to connect with them, which he's had conversations that they'll work together as an after-school club and practice here and hopefully perform on a live theater right around the corner. So that's one of our goals this year. Good question. Average homework expectations. So a lot of the research out there at this developmental stage is that homework is not typically a great indicator of moving a student forward or progressing a student forward. But we do encourage reading 20 minutes a night. And then there's also some programs that some of our teachers have where they can go on to Success Maker or Khan Academy and do some of the independent propelled programming. And then if there's ever a project or assignment that they may not have finished in class, that's what would go home. Because we also know if you've ever been into middle school and you see at 2:45 at the end of the day, the number one thing they want to do is socialize and play. And so giving them that time after school to play and learn in a different way is really important to us. Yes, school psychologist. Every Tacoma school has an assigned psychologist. We have one. Her time here is proportioned out based on the number of students we have, but their duties usually are around evaluating or assessing students who might have special needs or re-evaluated. We have a fantastic psychologist. She's one of my favorites. The average class size in Tacoma for middle school is 28. So it could be as high as 28. It actually could go as high as 30 in a core class. Sometimes they might be down to 22, 23, 25, depending on the master schedule or the amount of students that are coming here. So, but anything that's below 20, the district really looks at, and that's when you hear in the news how they've displaced teachers and moved them to other schools. So they try to keep that average class size as close to 28 as possible. The only other classes that are more is PE, which is 34, and then band and orchestra can be as large as the teacher would like, just because sometimes conductors like bigger, fuller orchestras and bands. What sets us apart? Well, we just have about the coolest staff on the planet. Which I do believe is one of the things that sets us apart. And I've been at several schools in Tacoma, and there's a lot of great teachers out there that I've worked with. But this combination of staff is so willing to go the extra mile for kids and to build programming for kids that gets them excited about being at school. We have teachers who love sports and want to get kids involved in sports. And we have teachers who love the arts and want them to get involved in the arts. And we have teachers who are really passionate about clubs or different types of clubs or the outdoors or outdoor ed. Mr. Ross is a great example of our outdoor ed fanatic. I think that's what sets us apart from many schools that I've been at, and then bringing that into the classroom where they're integrating different ideas along with the learning. And Mr. Ross's social studies classroom, they did geography, and he went out into the gardens where there's no plants yet, but there's dirt, and they used dirt to recreate different geographical features. And Mrs. Reich is our dance teacher, and she knows that TikTok is the new rave. So they had to use all the movement styles that they have learned and create their own little TikTok, and had 100% participation, which is sometimes hard to get. And our teachers in language arts are finding novels and books that are intriguing to our students that go along with the curriculum, but that have diversity in them and the storylines and make it interesting for kids. So I feel like that's what sets us apart, a very willing, collaborative group of adults. And then the part that I'm most excited about is seeing those programs come to life. So Mrs. Reich's dance opportunities, the sports programs, our boys basketball played, and they had won every game except for one this year. And to be, a team of 7 or 8 and have a winning season is fantastic, and that builds success and confidence. And then watching Mr. Wadley try to build a musical and try to bring that to life, and our art room and our robotics room. So, and then of course, kayaking and skiing. I mean, what school have you heard that does both of those? So those are the ones that I think we're the most excited about. Okay, so do you have drumline, and is choir an option for elective or club? So unfortunately, at this time, we don't have drumline, and coming from my last middle school, it's really sad. Some of us came from some middle schools that have drumline, and it's one of our favorite things. Hopefully we can build up to that. We only have some teachers some of the day just because we're so small right now. Choir is an option. So Mr. Wadley's class is musical theater. So he's starting with drama, and he's trying to build in choir or singing like pieces in there. What he's found is just their risk taking is low, and so he's trying to build up their confidence, and he's starting to put in music right now. But then the musical piece will be a club after the winter break. So if you're choice enrollment and you are outside the catchment, so if you're not in the hunt zone which is like Titlow, 6th Avenue, and it kind of goes right by Wilson and then down 6th Avenue and across Tyler over to 12th and over to the Oakland area. If you're not in that zone, there is no bus that would be in your zone that would come and get you and bring you to Hunt. However, you can provide transportation. You can figure out outside the box transportation. I've had kids at my last middle school that use city bus, or let's say you're right on the border on the line of the Hunt zone and you see the Hunt bus stop there and your student can walk there, or you can drop them off at that bus stop. That also works too. Robbie, you want to talk about the next 2 questions with master schedule?
Sure, sorry. So right now, this school year, we have 6 periods, and they're 57 minutes long, and then we also have that 15-minute advisory. Next year, because of our requirements, we've already started puzzling together like how it's going to work with the IB requirements we have to do. So the bell schedule may change a little bit. We may be moving to more of an A-B school model. However, that's up in the air for how we need to give students the most opportunities that are available for them to have those elective and arts choices, while also fulfilling the requirements of their core classes and things like that. And right now, the question for lunch, lunch is a half an hour for students, which we found is plenty enough. So this year, due to COVID protocols, our 6th graders go outside for the first 15 minutes of lunch and come in and eat for the last 15 minutes. And then while the 6th graders are outside, the 7th graders are eating in the lunchroom, socially distanced, and then they go outside for their recess social time while the 6th graders are inside eating their lunch. The next question, somebody is asking Heritage or Hunt. We are a biased crew here. We would say Hunt. However, there are opportunities. There are opportunities available to you for you to go to both. But obviously, I think that we're building a great program at Hunt. Somebody else is also
asking. A Heritage teacher asking this trick question. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The next question, the feeder to the next high school. So yes, we have an interesting catchment. We do have a cutout that's next to Silas, just north of 6th Avenue. So those students would go to Silas depending on where you live. But I'd say a majority of our students, and the reason why Hunt is reopened and a good thing for the district, is that we'll become a pretty big direct feeder to Foss High School. However, with optional enrollment, if you want to choose to go to a different high school, you can go through the same process again when we go to high school, and you can choose to go to Silas, to Foss, to Lincoln Stadium, and then there's the application process for the IDEA, SAMI, and SOTA if you'd prefer to do those things. I can answer the next one. What type of art classes are we offering right now? We have a visual arts class that is also dabbling in the culinary arts for 6th grade students. And then in 7th grade, that's when students are able to start taking career and technical education classes. And so Mr. Minetti is our CTE teacher. He's kind of a jack of all trades. So right now students just finished up doing exploring technologies, learning how to do program like the sticker makers, and they made really cool designs. They also did some 3D printing, all kinds of things like that. And he's now moving into the culinary arts as well, which is a pretty neat thing. How do we handle bullying? That's a great question. And I think it's one of the big questions that comes up at a lot of different schools, because we want to make sure your students are safe, and your students' safety is one of the biggest things. So first of all, what I always tell students is we need to know about it. So that can be reporting it on a form in the office, like a My Side of the Story, having a private conversation with Mr. Kellogg, Mrs. Messersmith, myself, or their teacher out somewhere else, and then we'll have a conversation with the student, try to get some more information. We might then talk to the other student, and then like I said earlier in the presentation, there might be just some other ways that we deal with it. It could just be as simple as misunderstandings, where we could do a restorative circle. If it is a targeted situation, then we can set up different pieces to support your student and keep them safe there. it's a very layered question, and we definitely look at each situation individually.
I would say that Mr. Jaskar and our counseling team also goes into classes like we did this year, and they do direct lessons with students around the difference between bullying and being mean, and then figuring out ways to have strategies to handle each one of them, and then also what kindness is and how to be kind in middle school. And it's kind of tricky in middle school because you want to be kind, but you also kind of want to be cool too. So what does that look like? And so we had some scenarios, and they do some scenario learning. You know, what do I do when this happens? What do I do when this happens? So we also embed a lot of lessons, like front load them so that kids have some ideas, because we know if they don't know what they don't know. So
I'm just publishing this one because I agree with you. I came with Mrs. Messersmith from Stewart Middle School after being there for 12 years, and I love her passion for students, and I think it's coming through here. And I'll just put these last two up and we can...
Let's see. Sorry, I gotta scroll. Do you offer swimming with the kayak program? Clay, your turn to answer.
So all students who take kayaking did do a 2-day swimming and kayak lesson in the pool. This year it was at Stadium High School, as a way of making sure that students are comfortable in the water, capable of getting in and out of the boat in case of a capsize, that kind of thing. We are working towards, but have not finalized anything yet, but we're trying to get an actual swimming club, i.e. swimming class, to happen sometime over the winter, ideally, because we had a number of students who wanted to take kayaking, but were uncomfortable with their swimming abilities, and so we're trying to get them those skills and those experiences, because we're going to offer kayaking in session number 5. So hold tight. Hopefully we'll have at least one session, if not multiple sessions next year, that are specifically swimming.
Jaskar, you want to answer this next one?
Sure. So how do we create a trauma-informed environment for students? Well, first of all, again, meeting students where they're at, and students are coming from all different levels. Right now, I'm the only school counselor at Hunt. However, I do have an amazing intern from the University of Puget Sound who's also serving as our EDGE coach, which is coaching students that have ADHD and also working with our students that are in transition or homeless. And we just really want to make sure that we are supporting students. We're available. They can sign up to see me, and I'll pull them out of class and we can talk. I'm also working to create groups right after our Thanksgiving break. We'll be starting a group for grief and loss. In the spring, I'll be doing a cognitive behavioral therapy groups with some students. So just working to meet the needs of all of our students. At the beginning of the year, we do a needs assessment to see what some of the big needs are for our Hunt students. And then also love to talk with parents individually about ways that we can support our kids.
As the leader of the school, I partner with Dave, our assistant principal, our counseling team, and our instructional coach, and we also provide professional development with our staff, because we can't have a trauma-informed school unless the adults understand the continuum of who we're serving or what others could be experiencing. So we really work through different scenarios or equity-based practices, or even behaviors and some antecedents that might happen that could cause different situations in the classroom, and then how we can build a relationship first environment so that kids feel safe and comfortable in class. Oh, no. Okay, so our library. So we have one of the coolest librarians in the world, and she was a teacher, elementary teacher, before she became a librarian. So she is excellent at her instruction and getting kids engaged. And so she's partnering with our language arts teachers, And 6th grade language arts comes in every other Wednesday, and then 7th grade on the opposite. And they do a lesson together with the teacher and librarian around whatever it is they're learning in language arts and library, and then they get to check out books and do that sort of thing. And then the library is also open every single day for kids to come in and play board games, read, do different library type activities. And then our librarian also is trained to integrate and work with our teachers on different types of instructional engagement strategies. So I know she's after Mr. Ross possibly to collaborate with him and working with social studies and bringing the library services to his content and doing some work together with that. So she's great, and she's helped with our advisory program, and just is very open and willing and puts a book in every kid's hand the chance she can. So. Oh, Clay, you want to answer the next one?
Next question is, can students create after-school clubs? Simple answer, yes, for sure. In fact, we've had a number of clubs start this session that were specifically requested by students. We have an anime club because many students were asking for it. The only limitations are we have to have adult supervision, so we got to make sure that we have an instructor that can support that club. And we want to have some sort of minimum number of students. I believe currently our goal is 8, but we're fairly flexible on that. But basically, as long as there's a good number of students who are interested and we have an adult willing and able to supervise and instructor support, we can pretty much make almost anything happen. So if you have ideas, please email me so that I can pass them on to Metro Parks so we can start putting things together.
Yes, Hunt is a secure access building. I was in a secure access building before, and this one has this double layer to it. So it has a doorbell, then you go into a vestibule, and then you have to be buzzed in to get through the next set of doors. However, nobody can be buzzed in the next set of doors unless they've already been approved as a volunteer or a staff member. So essentially, no one can get into the building except for students. And then we also have partner with a security guard, although most of them call them like a coach or they like a teacher, and they help out as well as Mr. Kellogg and myself, and we're around the building often, a lot. So we have a great campus. Racially diverse, the school. So we are about 40% Caucasian, and then the other percentage is divided up between the different ethnicities. It's about, let's see, I think it's 20% African American, 10% Pacific Islander, 10% Asian, and 10% Spanish, something around those. So it's about a 40-60 combination. I want to say we're almost half girls and half boys, or sorry, identified female, identified male, but I think we're slightly higher in female this year. So it's a good cross section of students from different backgrounds, different families, different living situations. So they all have different things that they bring to the school community. Hello, I've been working at Hunt for 45 days. No, it's a little bit longer than that. I was selected last December, and I have had my eyes set on Hunt since I was here as a Stewart assistant principal when we were housed here at Hunt. So that's been about 7 years. And so I've been part of the Hunt reopening process for almost a year. Super satisfied, love coming to work every day, see myself here for a very, very long time. So I hope you don't want to kick me out. Dave, do you want to answer the question? And then Robbie, and then Clay.
Sure. I have been here about the same amount of time all of us have, because Hunt is brand new this year as a newly formed school. It was a school that closed down about a decade ago, but now it's being restarted as, but all of us here, in fact, myself with Kim starting us off, but then Ravi and Clay and myself and others have actually been involved in getting the school started from, let's basically say, the winter of last year, bringing everything, all the work you have to do to create a school. And there's a lot of work we still have to do, but we have, it is really, really neat, as Kim has said, that we have seen different things come to fruition already, and we're seeing the dividends and just how amazing our community is and we're just getting started. There's a lot more great stuff that's coming. You want me to send it to you, Robbie?
Sure. Same answer as everybody else for how long I've been here, but I see myself being at Hunt for a while. I was at my last school. I was at Stewart Middle School for 12 years prior to this, so I have history of being at places for a while. The thing I love about Hunt, kind of like what Dave and Kim were talking about, is that we came into this building, it's a blank slate, and it's been fun to watch it slowly develop its culture and other things. Like for Veterans Day this past week, students made a flag, a mosaic out of little pieces of paper, and now that's up in our building, and it's like an amazing piece of art that's now there. And just seeing all these little things and how we develop this culture of what does it mean to be a Hunt Thunder student, and you can see it already building across the community, and I love it.
And I will echo pretty much everything everybody said. Been here for 1 quarter, and I think the thing that makes me most satisfied is I feel like I am part of not just the staff, but a community. Like, there are students in my class who have Boy Scout meetings in the daycare center right next door to my house. I've gone to the taco truck on 6th that's owned by one of my students' families. Like, that feeling is amazing to me. Like, that makes me want to be here forever, because it means that I'm not just a teacher that works with you and your students, but I'm somebody who actually sees you on the street or sees you in the store. And that's the kind of school, that's the kind of community I want to be a part of. So as long as Kim and Dave let me stay, I'll be here.
Ride or die, Clay. No, so the newer buildings don't have lockers across the new architectural way of thinking in middle school and high school, because I mean, even when I was in high school, the choice is to carry their backpack. So no, there is not a locker for any of the students. They all have their backpacks, but all the tables have hooks for them to hang their backpacks on. They do carry their laptop with them, so it actually has been pretty useful to have the backpack option, because if we had lockers and carrying around laptops under their arms, that wouldn't work as well. They do have a locker in the PE room, which they have a personal lock that they check out each year and then turn back in. Oh, what events are hosted at Hunt? Talent shows, dances, family art night, science fair. We are building slowly but surely, and of course COVID can kind of get in the way of that. IB really wants to see showcases of our learning, and we started with a virtual showcase where kids were creating, and we're still rolling that out. Definitely shooting for a musical, couple of concerts. I've been in a school where we had talent shows at the end of the year. 10 years ago, dances were really fun in middle school. Now they like socials so that they could play basketball and volleyball and do other things, and we've already had one. Family nights, again, call them showcases, which could include art, science, social studies, all the different pieces. So we're working up to that. Because we've been closed for 11 years, so was the PTA or whatever was here prior. So right now there's no active parent group, whether it be a booster or PTSA, and whichever one we go down, which I'm open to supporting either one, it just has to be restarted and rekindled and going again, and then we can have one. But I mean, technically the building has only been open for 48 school days. So we just need some community members, family members to start it back up again. Okay, when is it officially an IB school? I think I hear you saying that the MYP makes the learning experience more modern and hands-on. Yes, you are hearing me correctly if I understand it correctly. Right now we passed the application process, so we're in the authorization process. Some schools take a few years to authorize because you have to have all the different pieces in place, meaning classes offered to kids and then teachers with IB units. Some schools have taken 3-4 years. I'm really not a patient person, so I'm trying to squeeze that into maybe a year and a half, maybe 2. It would be very hard to do in a year with only 2 grade levels, so I don't think they'll authorize us. Once we are authorized, then we are a full IB school. Before we're authorized, we're still an IB school doing all the IB things. It's just they want us to check off all the boxes for each thing.
That's it. There's 2 kind of from the beginning, but I think you answered them, but I'll publish them real quick if you want to touch on them again, Kim, just in case.
Oh yeah, inclusion, yes. Yep. Okay, let me answer the IB one again. IB program in middle years is part of the regular curriculum. It's the whole point of MYP, middle years program, is that every student gets to have a little bit of the buffet, everything at the buffet. So the arts, the design, the technology, the science, the social studies, the language arts, the reading, which is different than the diploma program. The diploma program is kind of earning those dual credit classes, which is at FOSS, and they can go into that program later. To answer the school inclusion, we do have an access program, which is a self-contained program with a great room for students who have, it used to be called Autism Developmental Program. And then we also have special ed services for students that might just need more learning resource program. And we're very big on inclusion. So our LRC teacher pushes into classrooms because in the middle years, kids want to feel like they're part of the class, not taken out of the class. And so our teacher does a great job going in there and helping with the other teacher, and they work together to make sure kids feel successful. And then our access teacher makes sure that her students, based on needs, gets to be included in other classes. Sometimes it's just an elective class, sometimes it's 2 or 3 classes like social studies and language arts. But a lot of our kids, we have a few students who are in wheelchairs, they're in the dance classroom, dancing, they're in theater classroom, acting. We have a few that are going to language arts and they're doing the reading with the other students. So we make sure that they all have access to anything they feel confident in doing. At the same time, we also provide the services so they don't feel like they're falling through the cracks or they don't have those supports. So we have 2 great teachers in that department that really help out with that. Is there any other questions, Robbie?
Not that I'm seeing. People thanking us for their time. So you're welcome.
You're welcome.
If you do have questions, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and hopefully Dave and Kim can put theirs in too. And you can feel free to email us any questions.
And just want to emphasize for those that are still on, I used to teach in elementary school, and so for many of you that are coming into the 6th grade, transition's a big step. You go from one teacher to several teachers and all these adults. I really work with the team. We all work together as a team to create systems so that it's the same everywhere in the building. At the same time, we hold kids to high expectations and boundaries because there's a little bit more independency. And so we really have to practice with our students, you know, regulating their bodies and their emotions and their choices. And so there's a lot of structures here, but then at the same time, we also have a lot of fun. So thank you guys for listening.
Well, there's one quick last minute question. I can jump in on that. I think you were just kind of talking about it. There's a lot of emotions with parents, but also kids. How do we deal with kids that may be dealing with high anxiety and things like that? Again, we try to work with students individually where they're at. We've put together plans for students that if they need to take a break or have a fidget or have a quiet spot, those types of things. We want to work with you and your child to make sure that their learning experience is what they need to be successful.
I think that is it. We put our emails in the chat. And then, of course, if you want to review the video recording later, I think it'll be available. You can also always come in if you want a sneak peek at the school or a tour. We're happy to give tours. Both Dave and I or Robbie, any of us, will be happy to do that for you. Thank you guys again. Have a great evening.